are we allowed to take photos of other people's books to market those books on social media? Let's talk to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that's dedicated to all things intellectual property.
Tony, we love holding up books in social media. For Bookstagram on Instagram, for BookTok on TikTok, we love showing off our books as authors, but also our friends' books. So when we are taking these photos and these videos of other people's books, are we legally protected or do we need to worry?
So I think that this is totally permissible, and I think it's become almost like a norm where people will hold up a book and they're on the beach and they'll say, oh, my afternoon read for the day. Or even after they've read a book, they do a book review talking about the book, and usually it's supplemented with a photo. That kind of thing is not going to trigger any sort of copyright infringement worthy behavior. And I think this isn't really a way to navigate the waters of fair use, but to identify how holding a book up isn't infringement worthy content. And I think that starts with just understanding, or at least redefining for everybody, what it means to infringe on someone's copyrighted work. So copyright infringement takes place when you use someone else's copyrighted material without their permission. And this usually happens, or at least there's a 4-tiered step process that goes into the analysis of copyright infringement. The first one being, is there a valid copyright? Meaning, is the work that is in question being infringed on registered in the Copyright Office and also satisfies the basic definition of a copyright being an original work of authorship fixed in a tangible medium of expression. Second, that's supplemented with understanding if there was a violation of any of the rights under copyright law that are laid out in the Copyright Act of 1976. So did you reproduce the work? Did you create a derivative work? Did you publicly display it? How about public performance? There are 6 that are enumerated in 17 USC 106, and one or multiple could apply. But the crown jewel of the copyright infringement analysis is the access and substantial similarity prong. The person claiming infringement must plausibly plead that the infringer had access to the original work of authorship and that they created a work of authorship that is substantially similar to the original work of authorship. And I think that that's where holding up a book basically defeats that argument. The substantial similarity prong, because you're not claiming that book is yours. You're just holding it up and saying, this is a book that I recommend, or this is a book that I'm reading, or this is a book that I thoroughly enjoyed. So you're providing some context, if anything, to that work of authorship. You're not, by showing the cover, you're really not infringing either, because it's not like you're doing a read aloud. Read alouds, totally different ballgame. We've talked about that plenty of times. But read alouds, if you're that is an inherent violation of the public performance right that belongs to the copyright owner, the author of that book. If anything, the author is entitled that right to publicly read out loud their own work of authorship. But everyone else shouldn't be in a position to just read books because they think that it's all fair game and everybody would take value in it. So all that to say, at the end of the day, when you're holding up a book, that's not a public performance. That's not the public display right necessarily. You're not directly infringing on any rights that belong to that specific copyright owner. You're just, again, almost if anything, providing some type of marketing and telling people, hey, listen, this is a book I'm reading, this is what I'm enjoying, and have at it, go there. And if anything, that might propel the sale of that specific asset. In no way, shape, or form do I also think that we really should be entertaining some type of discussion of transformative fair use or fair use more broadly. Fair use is a very specific type of discussion. It only applies as a defense to copyright infringement. And basically, since we've essentially deduced that this isn't infringement-worthy behavior to begin with, we really shouldn't be in a position to argue fair use or not if we know that there isn't any infringement taking place. So all that to say, you hold up a book that is from your favorite author or a friend of yours that's an author or anything else, that's all good and dandy. Actually, if anything, I think the author will appreciate the promotion, because now people will be encouraged to maybe buy the book. And obviously that means more royalties in the back pocket for the author.
So speaking of marketing, what if we are holding up books and saying, if you like this book and this book from another person, you'll also like my book, or you're comparing them, using it kind of to market yourself? Is that any different?
That I think is also fine. I don't think that there are necessarily people that would think that kind of behavior would trigger some type of violation, again, of certain copyrights. Again, you're not really reading the text of the book. Maybe you're saying, if anything, that the themes of the book relate to the themes of your book. But the promotional value and something like that, I think, is a very de minimis use compared to like if you read, let's say, a portion of Lord of the Rings book and said, you know, if you really enjoyed this passage from Lord of the Rings, then you're definitely going to love this book. Now, maybe there you have some type of fair use argument there. You could conceivably argue that you're using, let's say, if you were reading a portion of an existing book that is governed under copyright law, if you were using that aspect of the book to, let's say, criticize or comment on your book, maybe there's something there. It's a bit of a reach, but I could see some semblance of an argument for fair use there. But if you keep it at its bare bones, like if you like this book and you like that book, here's my book. I think that, again, that's a very, in the scale of like really, really low tier infringement versus like big deal infringement, I'm going to put it down at the lowest end of that totem pole. It's the kind of thing that's not going to, again, in my opinion, trigger that type of behavior. Now, obviously, every case study is different. Everybody's scenario of promoting their book is going to vary. So if you obviously have any doubt, go to your lawyer just to verify that the way you're promoting your book and you're using someone else's copyrighted work is the kind of thing that wouldn't trigger an infringement. Because again, there is no cookie cutter model that applies universally across the board for copyright infringement or cases of copyright infringement. It's all going to be fact specific. So surely going to a lawyer is going to help you navigate those waters.
And if you have further questions on what you can and cannot do when you're marketing your book, when you're writing your book, when you're signing your book deals, we want to get those questions answered for you. So drop those down below. Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes. And as always, you can reach out to Tony on his social media with questions, comments, and to see his amazing content as well. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at The IP Professor, and you can check out my entertainment law podcast called End Scene. New episodes drop every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Drop your questions on the legal side of publishing, from writing to publishing to marketing. Tony's coming back for upcoming questions to make sure we are safe and legally protected, and we're dropping daily videos to help you navigate the world of publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make this your most profitable and most stress-free year ever. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.